Today's episode of the Faculty Factory podcast is about leading in times of uncertainty, and it features a recording from a recent lecture led by Faculty Factory podcast host, Dr. Kimberly Skarupski. The lecture explores strategies for staying grounded, communicating with clarity, and supporting your postdocs through uncertain times. This lecture has been edited and repurposed to provide a friendly podcast listening experience.
I thought we'd spend the next, say, 15 minutes or so figuring out how to navigate through disruption. We'll talk about strategies for staying grounded, communicating with clarity, and supporting our postdocs through the unknown. Strategies, tools, committing to tactics. I have no conflicts to declare, and let's get right into the big red word, disruption. The title of this talk, I wanted to be a little bit more precise, was Navigating Through the Disruption, which is any radical change, something that changes our plans or interrupts an event or a process, or just basically to interrupt. We can all agree that there's been a big interruption, a big disruption on the landscape. And I don't have to tell you anything. When you look at the Nature poll, just came out a couple weeks ago, 75% of U.S. scientists who answered the poll say they're considering leaving not only research, but the U.S. to go to Europe or Canada. So we are in very interesting times right now. And we remember not so long ago that we were also in another disruptive ecosystem with COVID-19. It's hard to believe it was only 5 years ago. That was another huge disruption, as we remember. And indeed, we are living in VUCA times. VUCA is a military concept term that stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. So the V in volatility requires that we have vision. The U is that we have exhibit understanding, and the complexity compels clarity. Ambiguity wants us to be agile. So in these VUCA times, what do we need more than anything? Strong leadership. However, I'm not included in these conversations and higher level administration. No one tells us what's going on. We know that our leaders in the academic enterprise and the healthcare systems and our higher level institutions, statewide systems, we know these conversations are happening, but we're certainly not involved in them. We're not on the table. And sometimes when the message gets to us, it could be diluted. So what do we do when we feel like we're on shaky ground and we're not clear? We don't have clarity. We don't feel like we are empowered. Here's something that we could consider the Navy SEAL ethos. We expect to lead and be led. In the absence of orders, I will take charge, lead my teammates, and accomplish the mission. So this might be something that we can consider to the best of our abilities. What do leaders do? We lead. So there's a difference between the epistemology of leading and the ontology, the knowing and the being or the doing. So let's just not talk about leading. Let's be leaders. How can we do that? So now I'll turn the colors from navigating through disruption, red words, to navigating, green words, through disruption. Well, let's start with, what road do I take? Well, where are you going? I don't know. Well, then it doesn't matter. If you don't know where you're going, any road will get there. Where are we going? Where are our postdoctoral fellows? Where are our trainees going? Where are the learners headed? You might remember this movie with Steve Martin and John Candy, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Getting wherever we're going by a different manner of vehicles. So it's either you're an airplane, you're on the ground, you're in a train, any way to get there. These two were ambling their way to get to a final destination by any means it took. So let's think about what we're dealing with today. Let's Waze, W-A-Z-E, let's Waze our destination. Let's think about our careers using GPS, Global Positioning Services. What is your destination? What is the postdoctoral fellow or the learner or the trainee's true north? Where are they headed? Well, I don't know where that is. Maybe it's changed. Maybe I thought I was going here and now I'm going there. What is my identity? What is my purpose, my mission? Some of that can be driven by a moral compass, another metaphor for the traveling, the compass by our values. What are your values? Examining a wide range of things that are important to you and listening to our postdoctoral fellows, listening to our colleagues, listening to our students by the language they use, what is important to them, what is foremost in their minds and on their hearts, that will speak to who they are as a person. And that purpose is what's going to drive us. The purpose-driven life is what's going to get you there. And then part of that, recognizing and recalling, what is my purpose? Well, if I thought my purpose was to be an A, and now I can no longer be an A, what if as a purpose-driven life, it's not only about me, it's about some higher calling? Can I take that goal, the destination of A, can I slightly pivot and recalibrate it so that I'm still doing what I was put here to do, but maybe in a different way? Because after all, when we navigate and use Waze, whatever other app you're using, we know that there's traffic, there's a roadblock, there's a thing on the road, there's somebody on the side of the road, there are detours. Is that still there? Help us out. We click, yeah, it's still there. No, it's not there. Why do we do that? If you're nimble enough to do that, I usually can't do that, is to help the people behind us. To say, yeah, that roadblock is still there. Why? Because I'm helping feed into the data system so people behind me know to, oops, I'm going to get off right now because up ahead of me is a roadblock. We recalibrate, we pivot. And know this, our department, one of our department chairs here, Dr. Mandy Hill, when we were talking last week, she said, yeah, it's interesting. Sometimes we think of what has happened in the country or on any political landscapes, whenever, or health landscapes, that, oh my gosh, it's a destruction. That end goal, that destination has been destroyed. It's not there anymore. It's been obliterated. My future, I can't see it. It's cloudy. It's a big explosion ahead. Maybe not destruction. Maybe it's obstruction. It's still there, but we can't see it. We have to wait till the dust settles. It's still there. Maybe it looks a little bit different. But in the meantime, we're going to help navigate ourselves and others through the disruption to get to that goal. So this is some strategies, objective one, for staying grounded, some things we could consider doing ourselves and with our learners and our colleagues. And how do we get there as leaders and help them stay grounded and help ourselves stay grounded is by recalling one of the most foundational, fundamental concepts of leadership, which is emotional intelligence. EI or EQ, your emotional intelligence quotient. Unlike IQ, EQ, emotional intelligence, can be learned. And briefly, emotional intelligence starts with self-awareness, knowing myself to better manage and lead myself, social awareness, understanding, gaining insight into others, then to allow me to manage those relationships. So it's all relationship with self and others. Emotional intelligence is critical. It is the beginning of all wisdom. An unexamined life is not worth living. Socrates also said that, and Lao Tzu is credited with saying knowing others is intelligence, but knowing yourself is true wisdom. So in times of chaos, disorder, anomie, normlessness, lawlessness, another way that we could stay grounded or help others be grounded is the notion of ikigai, a Japanese concept, which is a reason for being. Think about it as, again, your purpose. Why do you live? What's the reason for living? What's the force that gets you out of bed in the morning? When you can have the overlapping Venn diagrams of doing what you love, what the world needs, again, what the world needs, what you can be paid for, and what you are good at. So if you take all these things, passion, mission, vocation, profession, this is the purpose in life. So if you take, like, the world still needs the stuff we're doing. You still love what you're doing. You're really good at it, but maybe you can't be paid for that. What can you be paid for that will still get in these other areas? Maybe the world no longer needs this. Something has been cured, treated. So what else does the world need? It's a matter of being curious and exploring how we can get to this reason for being or your purpose in life. Communication, objective number 2, to identify tools to communicate with clarity. Let's talk about communication. It's not easy. What we know that leading is not easy, especially during VUCA times. And then we all go through the same stuff differently, right? It's easy for someone here to say, oh, don't worry, be happy, Hakuna Matata. When you're down lower, And you're thinking, oh my gosh, there went all my grants. There went my postdocs. There went my students. They're on an airplane going back home. It depends who you ask, and everything is relative in terms of how these VUCA times are hitting us. But let's focus on what we can control. Fear. Recognize the fear. And as a leader, you may choose not to operate in fear because fear can be a liar. Fear can convince us that we are powerless, that there's nothing we can do. You can freeze. We can be hiding. We can do other things, as we know, when faced with the run, fight, hide, or in danger. Be honest. Be honest with, yeah, this stuff is tough. We're in bad times right now. Acknowledge your emotions. I acknowledge, yeah, I'm anxious too. If you don't know what feelings are, like I had to go and find out that there are feelings other than mad, sad, and glad. There's a whole wheel, and there are like hundreds of them, hundreds of feelings. Acknowledge emotions. Yes, I feel that. I see that you are anxious, that you are worried, that you are depressed, that you are sad, that you're mad. Yes, those are legit emotions. Anything you're feeling is legitimate. Let's also remind ourselves we're human beings. We're not human doings. We don't always have to be hustle and grind, hustle and grind, hustle and grind. I see you. I see you. I see the struggle. I see what you're going through. I see you. You matter. You're tired. You're upset. I get it. I see you. I'm with you. I could be with you in that discomfort. And then celebrate and recognize and reward your colleagues, your teams, your lab, whoever you're working, your teachers, your learners. Recognize and reward the good stuff that is still happening. Message might be not that to change what we do. You're still fundamentally a public health researcher or a fill in the blank, but maybe how you do it. Again, getting back to that ikigai, that purpose. I'm still a scientist. I'm still this, and I'm just changing how I do it. I'm recalibrating. Another a coaching concept is to ask what has worked for us in the past. What happened during COVID? What is something similar where I was at a place where I thought, that's it, I can't go any further. What did I do? How did I get around that? Did I go up, over it, underneath it, around it? Did I go through it? How did I do it? I can figure this out. I'm smart. I'm capable. And then you can just ask the Google, ask ChatGPT. Here are 5 C's for communicating with clarity: communication, collaboration, culture, commitment. You can search these things, Google. There's 7 P's, 5 C's, lots of letters, lots of words, a lot of strategies. You can identify tools to help you communicate with clarity. And then wrapping up here for our conversation is, let's establish some good leadership habit hygiene tactics for objective number 3. Commit to maybe one new tactic. So in the coaching world, we talk about what's the smallest change you can make that would have the biggest impact. One small change that would have maybe the most profound impact on your life. Is it organizing your calendar? Is it not managing your time better? Is it changing your attitude? Is it adopting a new mantra? After all, we don't decide our future. We know we have no control over a lot of things in life. We decide our habits, and our habits decide our futures. One of those habits could be wherever you feel like you have an opportunity to improve your fill in the blank. We can improve. We can decide to change our habits. We can control only one thing: our behaviors, what we do. Can't control anything else. So some new habits might be the thing that could help us, and we could share that and invite others to develop new habits. Certainly a tactic is to remain calm, but not hypocritical. Not like, hey, it's all good. Don't worry about it. We'll get through it. Adopt one of my mentors at Hopkins said during COVID, I am practicing being dispassionately curious. And I was like, dispassionately? How can I be dispassionate about anything? I'm passionate about everything. But the idea he was presenting was people look to leaders to be you got this. I'm chill. Don't worry. It's under control. I got you. People get nervous if they have a leader going, oh my gosh, where the hell? The sky is falling. The sky is falling. That kind of freaks out. When you see the leader losing it, doesn't evoke a lot of confidence. So being calm, curious. I love the word equanimity. Mental calmness, composure, an evenness of temper, especially in a difficult situation. That equanimity, that is really reassuring. It's comforting to us, using that 4-square breathing, inhaling, exhaling, and adopting isn't that interesting? Look at this. Isn't this interesting? And I mentioned earlier, stepping into the discomfort, finding some comfort into discomfort, not doing our instinct is to run away from things that are uncomfortable, because that's just kind of self-preservation, but rather turn and face that fear. Fear, you're a liar. I'm going to step right in there and I'm going to be in it. And then listening. Look at, isn't it interesting how the same letters in listen are in silent? You shuffle the word silent around, you get listen. So just close your mouth for a minute, or for me, 5 minutes, and listen for a change. We should be listening twice as much as we're talking. There are 2 of these and 1 of these. 2 ears, 1 mouth. Listening. Be present with people who are like unloading on you. Just be present. If anything, tell me more. Tell me more. That's interesting. Tell me more. Be present with someone and not be so quick to want to solve all the problems, because after all, as leaders, we don't have the answers. We don't have any control over this. We don't have any secret hotline to our administration or to Washington, D.C., or whatever state you're living in, to the Capitol. We don't know. You don't know. We don't have answers, but we can be there. Here's something else you found on the Google. The only constant in life is change. That does not mean it's easy to navigate. So here are some things you can do, you can practice or take to your breakout groups. Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way, navigate your own way. And then, of course, the serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Thanks for tuning in to the Faculty Factory podcast. We are a faculty development community sharing tools to build academic leaders in healthcare. Maybe you want to be interviewed on the podcast? Please visit facultyfactory.org/contact and send me a message there. The Faculty Factory podcast and website is sponsored by the Office of Faculty Affairs at the University of Texas Medical Branch in Galveston, Texas.